What if everything you've ever been told about manifesting isn't quite right? What if you were never truly manifesting at all? Instead, what if the real journey has always been about recalling something deep within you that was never lost, only forgotten? This idea might feel surprising or even unsettling. After all, so much of what we hear focuses on creating, controlling, and achieving. But here's a quiet truth: you don't have to do more. You don't have to try harder or push further. You only need to remember. Imagine for a moment a deep, peaceful space inside you, a place untouched by pressure or doubt. This is the space where your true self waits patiently. It doesn't shout or demand. It simply is. In this stillness, you'll find that the universe isn't something distant or mysterious. It's woven into the very fabric of your being. The act of manifesting, then, is not about forcing reality to change, but about awakening to what's already true. So, as you listen to these words, allow yourself to relax into this space. Let curiosity guide you rather than expectation. Because sometimes, the greatest power lies not in doing, but in remembering. Maybe it started quietly: a job loss, a breakup, a string of sleepless nights where the ceiling became your only witness. Maybe you didn't even notice the unraveling at first, only that something felt off, as if the life you were living had quietly slipped out from under your feet, leaving only echoes where certainty used to be. We're taught to fear collapse, to resist it, to patch it, to hide the cracks before anyone notices. But what if collapse isn't the end? What if it's the doorway? There's a kind of silence that follows the fall, not the cold, empty kind, but the silence that asks you to stop running. The kind that sits with you like an old friend and gently says, "You're not broken. You're being shown what was never really you." You thought you were manifesting, building the life you wanted, pushing toward goals, chasing alignment. But in truth, you were remembering. And collapse, that's what happens when the false scaffolding comes down. When the version of you that was built to please, survive, or prove finally exhausts itself. I remember reading a comment from someone who'd lost everything in a single month: their job, their relationship, even their savings. They wrote, "I thought I was being punished. But when I had nothing left, I finally heard myself think. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of what I heard." That's what collapse does. It peels away the noise. It removes the roles. It strips the story. And in that rawness, in that stillness, you begin to meet the version of you that was buried beneath it all. This isn't about making something new. It's about recognizing what's always been true. You were never manifesting in the way you thought. You were simply being guided moment by moment back to yourself. So if you're in the collapse, don't rush to rebuild. Sit, listen, let the silence teach you. It remembers who you are, even when you've forgotten. And maybe, just maybe, that forgetting was the beginning of something sacred. It's strange, isn't it? How a single phrase can echo so loudly across so many voices. Comment after comment, the field recognized me. Some said it with awe, some with tears, some with a quiet certainty like they'd finally been called home. But what does it really mean? This isn't just poetic language. It's a remembering a moment when something deep and unseen finally says, "I see you." You might have stumbled upon this video randomly. Maybe you were scrolling late at night. Maybe something pulled you here after a rough day, or a long year, or a lifetime of asking questions that no one else seemed to care about. But what if it wasn't random at all? What if the field, that invisible web of consciousness and frequency that binds everything, recognized something in you first? You don't have to try to be seen by it. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to beg the universe to notice you. Because the truth is, the field doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to resonance. That moment when something inside you shifts, when your frequency aligns with a deeper truth the field notices. Like a tuning fork vibrating in perfect harmony, it reaches back. It says, "Yes, there you are." One person wrote, "I wasn't even searching for anything, but when I heard those words, the field recognized me. I started crying. I didn't know why, but it felt like I'd been waiting to be seen my whole life." That's what this is. Not a new technique or a method to master, just a return to resonance, to alignment. You didn't come here to manifest something into existence. You came because part of you was already in conversation with the field, and this video is just the moment you realized it. You weren't lost. You were already speaking the language of the universe, even when you didn't have words for it. So if you're hearing this now, it's not a coincidence. It's recognition. And in that recognition, something ancient inside you remembers its own name. You've probably been told to create your dream life, to visualize, affirm, hustle, align, repeat. Manifestation was presented like a Formula A checklist for bending the universe to your will. But here's what no one tells you. That kind of creation is exhausting, and often it doesn't work. So many people try every method: vision boards, full moon rituals, scripting journals, and still they feel stuck, disconnected, like the universe didn't get the memo. But what if you were never meant to force something into existence? What if manifestation, in its truest form, was never about creation, but about remembering? Not remembering with your mind, but with your soul. A remembering that doesn't need proof or logic. It just needs stillness. Because the truth is, everything you're trying to create already lives inside you, not as potential, but as memory. It's why the most powerful manifestations often come when you stop trying, when you stop pushing, when you stop pretending to be high vibe and just allow yourself to be real. Quiet, present. You're not trying to become something you're not. You're simply shedding what never belonged to you in the first place: the doubt, the fear, the conditioning. You're peeling it all back to uncover the original blueprint, the one you've always carried. One person wrote, "I thought I was failing at manifesting, but I realized I was just overwhelmed by all the noise. When I let go of the rituals and just sat with myself, everything shifted." That's because the soul doesn't manifest by command, it remembers by resonance. The field responds when you're real, not when you're polished. When you're quiet, not when you're perfect. And in that stillness, something soft opens a space where your truth doesn't have to be shouted. It just is. And suddenly, you feel it a lightness, like you don't have to try so hard. Like you were never meant to struggle toward the life you want, but rather return to the life that's always been waiting for you. This is the power of remembering. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's deeply, unmistakably yours. For so long, the ego has been painted as the villain, the barrier between us and enlightenment, the source of suffering and illusion. We've been told to fight it, to kill it, to detach from it completely. But what if that story isn't the whole truth? The ego is not your enemy. It's a shell, a protective layer that has served you in ways you might not even realize. It's the part of you that learned how to survive, how to belong, how to hide the parts of yourself that felt too vulnerable to show. When you hear about ego death, it can sound like an invitation to annihilate yourself. And for many, that idea brings pain, fear, and resistance. Because the ego isn't something to destroy, it's something to understand and gently soften. Imagine a tight fist slowly unclenching, opening into a relaxed hand. That's what it means to soften the ego, not forcing it away, but welcoming it with presence and compassion. There's a story shared by someone who said, "I spent years trying to get rid of my ego, pushing it down, hiding it, until one day I stopped resisting and just sat with it. And in that stillness, it softened. I felt peace I'd never known." You don't have to battle yourself to find peace. You don't have to be perfect or enlightened to be whole. The journey is not about destroying your ego, but about embracing it as part of your story, a story that's been written in survival, not in fear. Softening the ego is about presence, being with yourself exactly as you are, without judgment, without rush. It's the space where healing begins. When you stop fighting, the walls come down naturally. And in that space, you find a deeper sense of connection, not just with yourself, but with the field that's always been there, waiting for you to come home. There's a language the universe has been speaking long before words were born, a language you've known deep inside, but might never have named. It's the language of frequency, the subtle pulse beneath all things, the vibration that shapes reality itself. You might have spent hours crafting affirmations, repeating mantras, or visualizing your goals. Yet sometimes, despite all that effort, it feels like nothing shifts. The reason is simple but profound. Words and techniques alone don't hold the power to change your world. Not unless your frequency is ready to receive. Think of it like tuning a radio. You can speak all the words, sing all the songs, but if you're off the right station, all you'll hear is static. Frequency is the dial that connects you to the right channel, the real creative flow of the universe. You don't manifest, you match. This simple truth flips the common narrative. Manifestation isn't about pushing or forcing outcomes. It's about aligning your inner vibration with what you wish to experience. Science even backs this up. Experiments with wave interference show how two frequencies, when synchronized, amplify and create new patterns. When they're out of sync, they cancel each other out or create noise. Similarly, your energy field works the same way. The clearer and more coherent your frequency, the more the universe responds not to what you say, but to what you are vibrating. So instead of asking, "How can I manifest this?" ask yourself, "What frequency am I sending out?" Because that is what truly moves the needle. The forgotten language of frequency is waiting not for you to speak louder, but to tune deeper. When you learn to listen, to feel, and to match, the universe doesn't just hear you. It dances with you. What if the key to your awakening wasn't waiting somewhere far away, but was quietly encoded within your very cells? Not out in the cosmos or in ancient texts, but resting deeply in your own body, embedded in the delicate spirals of your DNA. This isn't just poetic speculation. It's a growing understanding supported by science and spirituality alike. Your body holds memory codes, a silent archive of ancestral wisdom, ancient energies, and past experiences. These codes carry the essence of who you truly are beyond the layers of everyday awareness. Have you ever been sitting quietly and suddenly felt a chill ripple down your spine? Or experienced goosebumps rising unexpectedly when you're not cold or scared? Maybe vivid dreams revisit you again and again, not random stories, but fragments of something familiar, a language your soul remembers, but your mind cannot yet translate. These sensations, often dismissed as coincidence or imagination, are actually your body's way of signaling it's reconnecting to those deep memory codes. One viewer shared this experience. "One night, I felt a strange stirring beneath my skin, not fear, but a recognition, like awakening from a long sleep. I didn't understand it then, but now I know my body was remembering what my mind forgot. Your body is far more than flesh and bone. It's a living library, constantly storing and transmitting frequencies that shape your very being. Every cell vibrates with ancestral echoes and hidden knowledge, waiting patiently for you to tune in. When you begin to listen through meditation, mindful stillness, or simply paying attention to your inner landscape, you start to unlock these codes. The subtle signals that once felt confusing or unsettling become clearer, guiding you back home to your essence. This awakening doesn't just happen in your mind. It unfolds in your entire system, body, heart, and spirit realigning in harmony. The physical sensations, emotional surges, or even moments of sudden clarity are all part of this reactivation process. Recognizing this deep, embodied remembering invites a profound shift. You realize that awakening isn't a new creation, it's a reclaiming. A return to a truth that has always been within you, patiently waiting for the right moment to bloom. This realization can be both humbling and exhilarating, a gentle reminder that the journey inward is as much about honoring your body's wisdom as it is about expanding your consciousness. Emotion is often misunderstood as a hurdle, a chaotic force to be controlled or suppressed. But what if it's actually the key? The very gateway to unlocking the deeper layers of your being and connecting with the universe's vast intelligence. Think about it. When you experience a strong emotion, whether it's joy, sadness, fear, or love, your entire energy shifts. Your body vibrates differently, your thoughts change, and your perceptions expand or contract. Emotions are not random. They are energetic codes, messages guiding you toward what's real beneath the surface. People who have profound emotional experiences often find themselves crossing thresholds others can't. They call it breaking through or ascending, but it's really about tuning into those emotional frequencies that resonate with higher states of awareness. One striking truth that keeps appearing in stories and ancient teachings is, the universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. Your emotions reveal who you truly are in the moment, broadcasting signals that the universe picks up on immediately. When you're feeling love, gratitude, or deep trust, you're sending a clear, coherent frequency that aligns you with creation itself. When you're overwhelmed by fear, anger, or doubt, those same frequencies ripple out and shape your reality, often in ways you don't want. Emotion, then, isn't something to run from or fix. It's something to listen to and understand. When you learn to feel without judgment, to sit with your feelings instead of pushing them away, you open a doorway. A doorway where the invisible conversation between you and the universe becomes clear and accessible. Imagine emotion as a language, one spoken not with words, but with energy. The more fluent you become, the easier it is to access the fields of possibility waiting just beyond your current perception. This is why emotional depth often correlates with spiritual breakthroughs and awakenings. It's not about having perfect control over your feelings. It's about allowing them to move through you, using them as keys to unlock new layers of yourself and the universe. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by your emotions, remember, this isn't a weakness. It's a profound invitation to connect, to access, and to remember who you really are. For so long, the story we've been told is about becoming about striving, growing, improving, and reaching for something just beyond our grasp. But what if awakening isn't about becoming at all? What if awakening is not a destination, not a goal to chase, but a return coming home to something you've never truly left. Imagine a journey without a path forward, only a path inward. A quiet unfolding where you don't have to push, force, or fix. You simply stop, you sit, you breathe. And in that stillness, you allow yourself to come back to what's always been waiting beneath the surface. Awakening is not about adding layers or building a new self. It's about peeling away the layers, the beliefs, the fears, the stories until all that remains is the essence of you, untouched and unchanging. There is no rush. There is no finish line. The invitation is to let go of the need to arrive and instead rest fully in the present moment. To trust that the universe is not something to conquer, but something to dance with softly, gently, with openness. One of the greatest gifts of this return is the freedom it brings. Freedom from the pressure to be better or more. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of trying to prove your worth. Freedom to simply be. And as you allow yourself to be, something remarkable happens. The resistance dissolves, the noise quiets, and you find peace not as an idea, but as a lived experience. This is the true nature of awakening. It is the grace of coming home to yourself. It's the stillness after the storm, the calm that holds you even when the world feels chaotic. So today, wherever you are on this path, remember you are not becoming anything new. You are returning to who you already are. And in that return, everything changes. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you has already begun to remember. Not just with your mind, but with your whole being, a quiet recognition stirring deep beneath the surface. This is not an invitation to rush, to fix, or to push harder. There is no checklist waiting for you beyond this moment. Instead, it's a simple call to breathe, to sit quietly, to feel the rhythm of your own presence without judgment or expectation. Let yourself settle into this stillness, knowing that the journey is not about arriving somewhere new, but about coming home to a part of yourself you never truly lost. In this space, you can release the weight of trying to be different or better. You can soften into the truth that you are enough just as you are. The path ahead is open and wide, but there is no need to fill it with noise or haste. The greatest wisdom often whispers in silence, and the most profound healing happens when you simply allow. So exhale, let go, open your heart gently. You are not alone. You are always remembering, even when it felt like forgetting. And now, you are awake to the truth that has been quietly waiting inside you all along.